It's my turn now, and I get to talk about football, and I get to talk about women's football, and the doors are locked and you're not allowed out. I'd like to show you something. This was an article, it's an interview in a very popular women's football magazine that came out just last week. It's an interview with a Glasgow City player, 8-year-old Zara Cahoon. Zara plays for our under-9s, and I'd like you to look very closely at the last answer. Essentially what Zara's saying there is she's explaining how she got involved in football and with Glasgow City. She was asked to be a mascot at one of our games, and from being a mascot at one of our games, she decided she wanted to be like one of our players. And I think that is something that should be available for every single girl out there. When I was a child, I don't recall having a role model. In fact, I don't really remember any strong female sporting role models at all. And that might explain why I was the only girl in my entire school when I was Zara's age that actually played football. Glasgow City was formed in 1998 by myself and my very good friend Caroline Stewart, and we still run the club to this day. When we started the club, we were very, very clear about what we wanted to achieve, and we were very vocal about it as well, and through that we also weren't very popular. We wanted to be the best team in Scotland, and we wanted to be one of the best teams in Europe. Where we laughed at and where we ridiculed, well, the answer is absolutely 100%. Scottish women's football wasn't in a great place back then. There wasn't a huge amount of teams. There certainly wasn't a phenomenal amount of players, and there wasn't really any particular youth structure to speak of. So if we fast forward 16 years later, well, where are we? I'm very proud to say Glasgow City is the most successful Scottish women's team of all time. We've won 20 senior domestic trophies. Thank you. This is when I get to boast, so if you can just be a wee bit quiet. We've won 20 senior domestic trophies, which includes the last 7 Premier League titles in a row, the last 2 trebles in a row. We've reached the last 16 of the UEFA Women's Champions League twice in the last 3 years. In December 2013, we were very proudly named the Scotland's official team of the year at the National Sports Awards, and in our current first team just now, we have 11 senior internationals and 5 youth internationals. But do I think that we've achieved everything we want to? Well, the answer is far from it. The challenge now that we have as a club isn't just the opposition we face on a Sunday when we play, and by the way, I've actually missed today's match to be here. The challenge isn't the opposition we actually face on the field anymore. The challenge for us is the fact that I just don't want to change the life of every young girl that pulls on an orange and black Glasgow City strip. I want every women's football team, every women's sports club, every female athlete out there to inspire a generation of girls to be who they want to be, to feel that they have equal opportunities in life to grow and fulfill and live whatever those dreams are. But when you leave here today, look at your influences on the way home. Pick up a newspaper, there'll be an Evening Times man standing there calling his wares, and turn to the back page, the sports page. Tell me if you see an image of a female athlete on it, or if you see only a male. In fact, go into your local newsagent and pick up all the sports pages, and you'll find that there will be no female athlete on the back page at all. Turn inside the newspaper, and yes, there'll be lots of images of females there, but is the talk about what they're wearing, how they look, or is the conversation about who they're currently dating? Take a look at the billboard adverts when you go home, or if you're at the bus stop, look at the bus shelter advert. Is the image of a model airbrushed into a body which is physically impossible for 99% of the population to actually ever have? Unless, of course, you starve yourself. And that actually does happen. A very recent parliamentary committee report into body image told us that 25% of girls in the UK have tried to diet before their 7th birthday. I mean, just think about that for a minute. A quarter of all girls in the UK, up to and including the age of 6 years old, have been so concerned about how they look that they have tried to curtail their food intake to change it. The same parliamentary committee report also tells us that 60% of girls don't take part in certain activities due to body anxieties, and these things include fundamental things like going to school or taking part in sport. But of course, it's not cool for girls to sweat, and let's face it, you shouldn't really be seen outside without any makeup on. So is it any wonder that in Scotland, our Scottish girls are third bottom of the EU when it comes to reaching recommended levels of physical activity? Is it any wonder that 9 out of 10 14-year-olds in the UK don't get enough exercise? And is it any wonder that 4 out of 5 women don't get enough exercise either? So how do we change it? Well, quite simply, you can't be what you can't see. Without visible role models, how do girls grow up into thinking they can be anything other than sexualised objects, which is how the media currently portrays women to them? And I think we all know here that how the media portrays the world, each and every one of us, becomes our own views of the world. I think we need to demand to have female in our sports pages, and not just in the lifestyle section for a makeover and wearing a dress, which I was very irate to find out happened just on Friday there with the Scottish national netball team who qualified for the World Cup. Were they rewarded by our national press by a double-page spread celebrating that fantastic achievement, or were they awarded with a centre-page spread giving them a makeover and putting them in dresses? I think you actually know what the answer to that one is. Women's sport in the UK receives only 5% of the media coverage, and yet, in my opinion, it's not as if women aren't good enough. At the London Olympic Games, 39% of our medalists were women. I really want to create an environment where not only every young girl, but every young boy can look up to female role models. If you were to come to a Glasgow City match and you were to see a male wearing their favourite female player on the back of their jersey, we would all talk about that. We'd all say, oh, that's really unusual. How can he have that? That's really absurd. But yet it's deemed completely acceptable for a female to go to a male match and have the male player on the back of her jersey. I can absolutely guarantee that if Glasgow City or any other equivalent sports team, female athlete, got the same amount of coverage as our male peers, that basically we wouldn't only change the life of every young girl to dream and hope for better things, I think we'd also change the attitudes towards women for the next generation of boys. Glasgow City is run by volunteers. Our volunteers do everything they can to create an environment for all of the young players that we have at our club to come in, make friends, be confident, and most importantly, be healthy. We've gone from one team in 1998 to now having 8 teams, and 7 of those teams are youth teams. What we do with the youth players is, for example, we give nutritional talks to all of them, and that includes our parents, because the parents are the most important, because they're the ones that make the meals and prepare the food and prepare the girls' eating habits for the rest of their lives. We also provide an opportunity for the girls to be totally involved with the first team, and all of our first team know all of our youth team players. They encourage them, they support them. We don't post any results for our youth teams because we don't believe in an obsession with winning at that age. It's all about learning and development. All of our youth teams train beside our elite world-class first team, and I can tell you now that every single youth player that we have absolutely idolises all our first team players, and that's because they want to be what they can see. When I was getting involved with Glasgow City all those many years ago, there was no coverage whatsoever for women's football. And slowly over the years, I've taken it upon myself to really try and change that. And if anyone in here is from the media, they'll know that I bombard you on a virtually daily basis with information on Glasgow City and women's football in general. And slowly, as you can see, we've had results. But in my opinion, it's still nowhere near good enough. And at 5% coverage for female sport, we've got an awful long way to go. We've also tried to create our own media impact at Glasgow City. And we've done that through the advent of social media, our website, our Facebook, our Twitter, our YouTube account, and that has helped push our club forward. We've gone from what literally used to be a few people at our games to now quite a few hundred. For our last 16 game there in the Champions League, just last November against Arsenal, we sold out 2 days in advance of the game, and that wasn't through a big media push from the outside forces, that was simply through our Twitter, Facebook, and our website. We also sell replica shirts all around the world, as I like to think we spread our city of dreams that we can to every young girl out there. But I'm under no illusions that every child that comes to Glasgow City, they're not all going to be world-class footballers, definitely not. But if we can just help them, make them believe that they can fulfil whatever ambitions they have and whatever they want to be in life, then I think we've done a very good job.